go ahead and I'll introduce my audience. Everyone say hello. All right. So today's topic is marijuana legalization on the federal level. If I were to tell you that there were a plant that's been used for 5,000 years, shrouded by misinformation and propaganda, that could have been a positive effect on millions of Americans' lives, providing massive job growth and a solution to America's ever-rising debt, yet lies as a Schedule I offense, would you believe it? We're going to review a few of many benefits of marijuana legalization at the federal level. Our topic will consist of the most underlooked group in society who would benefit from the greatest of legalization. Next, we'll discuss the economic impact at a micro level as well as the macro level. We'll discuss expert testimony developed through massive research. We'll also review what legalization has brought us in Oklahoma since September of 2018. Finally, we'll discuss problems that affect on banking and the crime that it causes. So, marijuana legalization would allow VA patients access to alternative forms of medicinal therapy. Between 2006 and 2009, 45% of 397 non-combat related deaths were related to alcohol or drugs. According to Drug Rehab, 64% of Iraq and Afghanistan vets prescribed at least one opioid in a one-year period. 4 out of 10 had long-term opioid dependency. JPSM reports 16.3% of shared prescriptions to manage pain, 29% resorted to alcohol and or street drugs, and 35% did both. MHAPA reports 50% of returning vets who needed mental health treatment received it. 50% who received it only received half-adequate treatment. So, however, please keep in mind this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, but an alternative solution that could reduce dependency and save lives. One vet said, "My 20s were a blur. In 10 years, I've never been this stable." By federally being illegal, scientists are not allowed to do proper research, nor is the VA allowed to prescribe or track results. There is one government research facility that is able to research marijuana using what's known as swag. It's brown, muddy garbage, said Peter Grinspoon, a physician and board member of Doctors for Cannabis Regulation, describing the Mississippi stock. You guys are awesome. Marijuana legalization will create millions of jobs nationwide. Leafly reports this is America's next hidden job boom. It has 110% growth in 3 years, which is America's fastest growing industry. CNBC reports U.S. marijuana legalization is a rare example of disruption, creating jobs rather than destroying them. Nick Cole is co-founder of Data Trek Research reports. CNBC, with the U.S. labor market recently showing signs of weakness and fears in an eventful recession in the wings, this is one industry that may weigh to soften the blow in an economic downturn, says Nick Cole. The median pay in America's medical marijuana market is $52,863, which is 11% higher than the net average of America. So, legalization of marijuana could fill an economic gap in a robust economy such as in the USA. By creating new economic markets in the U.S., we could lower unemployment and hedge against the next recession. Marijuana legalization would also provide billions in federal tax revenue. Forbes reports Colorado and Washington collected $250 million and $320 million, respectively, in cannabis taxes and fees in the year 2017 alone. Let's see, New Frontier data. $25 billion is the projected 2025 compound annual growth rate with 14.7%. ICFI reports 80,000 cannabis-related jobs in California have been created since marijuana became legal. That equates to a $3.5 billion increase in labor income. Come on down here, we've got $1.4 billion in recreational cannabis taxes in recreational states. That's versus $1.16 billion in alcohol taxes. So think about how much people drink. And that's legal everywhere. This is not. They're about to catch up. Come right here, ITEP also reports 11.9 billion in state and local excise taxes is the nationwide legalization projection. 11.9 billion. Legal marijuana is America's next cash crop. More jobs means more spending, which also booms the local economies. By not capitalizing on the market and its demands, the U.S. government is allowing third parties to collect all revenue. CNBC reports California's regulated pot industry sales have topped $6 billion since legal recreational sales began. Ask yourself, what changes have you seen in our beautiful city of Tulsa? Any available storefront not within 1,000 feet of a school is liable to turn into a dispensary. Cannabis farms that supply these dispensaries are taking all the open land and open warehouses. These are becoming no longer available. Thousands of jobs have been created, $1 million are being spent and taxed. Oklahoma will also see a massive economic upturn in job growth, rental revenue, and tax revenue. As of May 1st, 2019, there have been 112,811 patient applications, 1,664 caregiver applications, 5,211 business applications, totaling 119,686 applications in the state of Oklahoma. Out of those, 104,588 patient applications have been approved, 1,296 caregiver applications have been approved, 1,432 dispensary applications have been approved, 2,788 growers with 776 processors. Tulsa World reports $20 million have been collected in Oklahoma licensing, revenue, state, and local taxes since induction of medical marijuana in 2018. SQ 788 has a 7% mandatory tax on top of the 9% state tax. Norman and Stillwater alone have opened 45 dispensaries in 2 small towns. AP reports that has 57% approval rate amongst Oklahoma citizens. Legalizing marijuana reduces crime, and marijuana businesses should have the same tax benefits and money protection as a normal tax-paying business. Marijuana-related businesses are not allowed to bank with FDIC-insured banks, allowing horrific crimes to marijuana-related business owners to occur. Normal reports. Currently, hundreds of licensed and regulated businesses do not have access to the banking industry and are unable to accept credit cards, deposit revenues, or write checks to meet payroll or pay taxes. This situation is unattainable. No industry can operate safely, transparently, or effectively without access to banks or other financial institutions. Congress must move to change federal policy so that the growing number of state-compliant businesses and their consumers may operate in a manner that is similar to legal commercial enterprises. In 2013, a Humboldt County dispensary owner was brutally tortured. His attacker believes he was burying his money in the desert, when in fact he was going to the desert to look at potential properties to enterprise on. These people tracked him for a month. They were friends with him. They came to him one night. They demanded to know where they were hiding the money. When he did not tell them where they were hiding the money, they kidnapped him. They kidnapped his girlfriend. They severed his penis. They left him on the side of the road. They handcuffed his girlfriend. She had to run about a mile down the highway, handcuffed till she found help. They actually kept his penis. That way they couldn't put it back on, because he didn't tell them where the money was that they thought was buried in the desert, because you can't put that in the bank because it's actually federally illegal, which brings me to my next point. It's federally illegal, but these businesses still have to pay federal taxes. According to the IRS code, these businesses are distributing a Schedule I controlled dangerous substance. But since they're doing business in a legal state, they still must pay federal taxes. The problem with this is due to them being Schedule I, these businesses are not granted any tax write-offs. They are paying taxes off their gross revenue. Whereas a normal business, you can write off your rent, you can write off your employee expenses, inventory costs, you can write all this stuff off. In these businesses, you can't. So the federal government is collecting taxes off the whole money. This is equating to a 40 to 90% overall tax rate on these businesses by the time it's all Really, the U.S. government is taking advantage of these business owners, but not taking full advantage, because once you go 50 states, once you go nationwide, you expand that tax base, you expand the people it can help, you expand jobs, you expand the economy. Really, everything expands. Hurting the American people by not allowing this. Cuts in spending in places they shouldn't be, education, all these things can be resolved with the new market, the new cash crop. This is that business. Cannabis has been disparately represented for almost 100 years in the United States. 33 states have either had medical or recreational use. They've seen a major upswing. Having compassion in your hearts for people could greatly benefit others around you. You really should, the people who mentally and emotionally need this is the people that you should think of the most. Your coworkers, your neighbors, family, friends. Could really be anybody. Show me someone who doesn't like it, and they can go away. When taxed properly, states have been present. When taxed properly, states have seen increased spending on local infrastructure and education. Marijuana has been present for thousands of years. It's been in use longer than your religion. Instituting proper legal channels benefits society as a whole. That is my speech. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Mr. Tansey.